I was saying this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. It's, as you can see, keys to product adoption and teams, but it's really, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, it's organizational change management. OCM is really what this is about.
Right.
Getting the buy-in, and you think getting buy-in is just about, ooh, rah, rah. No, it's actually more than that. And I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'd rather him bring the lightning. So without further ado, please, I'd like to introduce Michael Medrano. And when I first saw your name, I immediately, because I live in Dallas, I thought of the hockey player here, Medrano. So you have one extra letter.
Yeah.
The hockey dude to come on.
Yeah, growing up, that was very, very well known.
I imagine so. And you're with an esteemed organization, IOA, SimplyIOA. You
Yes.
guys are quite large, and I don't want to again steal your thunder. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about your organization and a little bit about yourself and keys to product adoption in teams, which I think is extremely valuable for all of us.
Definitely. Right. So start off, good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Michael Medrano, not to be confused with Madonna from back in the day. But I am the product owner with SimplyIOA. I am based in Dallas, Texas. Been here my whole life, born and raised. You can't take me out of here. I dare you and hope you can try, but that's not happening. And I work for, SimplyIOA. Our company and our agency is based in Lake Mary, Florida. We are an extension of our parent company, Insurance Office of America. And that's how we came into this. The slides will pop up here in just a moment. But on the next slide, you'll be able to see our information about our agency overview. So like I said, we're based in Lake Mary, Florida, just north of Orlando. And Montserrat, if you can go to the next slide, please. So we're just north of Orlando, just north of Mickey's home. A lot of our leads come in and clients come from different sources. So we have partnerships, we have leads that get funneled to us through organic traffic, as well as through our marketing team that we have based in Ireland as well. So we're all over the world. When I say that, our agency size, we're roughly about 120 employees total, going pretty close to 40 sales agents, strictly focused on our digital sales team. For us, insurance is very personal. We're committed to bringing value to that, to our clients, to make life simpler for them. And one of the reasons, or why we chose InsuredMine, so through the whole vetting process, we had many meetings, many conversations with different CRMs that we were able to use. And one of the biggest things that stuck out for us was the flexibility of InsuredMine. So it was very catered. We were a startup. We're trying to find something we were able to grow with, something that was custom but not too crazy, where it can get out of hand very quickly. So with that, we were very excited to sort of jump on this ship with InsuredMine and learn from their experts on their team and how they were able to bring what our vision was to light, and as we continue to grow moving forward. So what I'm going to talk about obviously is the managing team side of things, but I did want to touch on a little high level view of just what our process is. So in the next slide, you'll be able to see just sort of the thoughts and ideas that we thought about as we were building this process. If you can go to the next slide, please, Montserrat. So yes, so here, some of our goals that we were looking at was obviously to lay out our requirements. One of the interesting things going through this implementation was having conversations with different parts of the business. Different departments have different or specific requirements. And we had to lay all those out and be as specific as possible. Had multiple meetings with operations, with marketing, with our service team, specific to partnerships as well, as I mentioned before. So we used this opportunity to not only lay it all out, but to give us an opportunity to where can we improve. It was a chance to sort of start fresh, and from there we were wanting to develop and then just build confidence amongst the group, the whole company, that this platform to show how versatile it is and how we were able to make it work for our team. Our second goal that I wanted to point out was the managing our pipelines. We had an issue in our previous CRM where everything was everywhere. We didn't know where our leads were standing. We had a general idea, of course, but for speaking from an agent experience perspective, being able to see everything clearly within InsuredMine, and I know Mike Crandall spoke about this yesterday, just explaining, his workflows and stuff, but being able to see things through a pipeline view and see the different stages different leads are in is huge, not only for the agent, but as leadership as well. We're there. You can at a glance see what things are quoted, what things have been sold. So all that was very ideal. And going into the reporting, so we have more of an on-demand reporting, as I like to think of it, for our ops team. Like I said, we have a huge reporting team in Ireland who looks at things at the end of the day. Being 6 hours ahead of us, there's we get those reports the next day very early, so that's great. But having the ability for our team to look at the one deals by agent report that's in our dashboard and see how everybody's doing individually as a team, and then how we're progressing through the month. And obviously with any implementation, we want things to go smooth. We want it to go as smooth as possible. That is the goal overall. Not saying that we won't go through hiccups or any tough moments where we can obviously learn from those, but with that, we wanted to really stress the communication factor of things. So strong communication, to me, it's a make or break. Just being open, honest, and displaying and showing the team what InsuredMine was able to do in that moment when we went live, and then how we're planning to incorporate future partnerships, future processes down the road. Go to the next slide, please, Montserrat. All right, so like I said, just want to touch on very briefly on our process. So we have multiple areas of the business. So we have an outbound team, obviously a sales team, and then the client management team that I wanted to touch on. This one specific to our outbound team is where all of our leads are captured, whether they be from different lead sources. The standard process, I would start here. They make the outreach to the client after obtaining all their demographics and making that initial call, setting the tone for the world-class service that we're looking to provide with every single phone call, every single time. From there, they would either continue to follow up on the lead, see if it developed interest, again, get any necessary information needed and complete any forms that specific to that client. From there, if a client is interested, again, perfect world going into the develop side of things here on the third sort of swim lane. The client needs to speak to a sales rep. What's cool about InsuredMine is we're able to save a lot of time with the automations that we have set up within our pipeline. So cards are moving to appropriate stages so our team can access them quickly and have any necessary information in the notes section of that deal card. So in this example that I'm talking through, clients available, the sales rep is ready to go and get that information. The outbound team will then transfer that deal card to the digital sales pipeline. And obviously, if they're not interested, they move it to a specific stage that closes it out. But again, perfect world goes to the digital sales pipeline. And you'll see here on the next slide, once we click over, the card is then copied over to our new stage, which obviously identifies it's a new lead ready to go for our sales team to pick up. So they'll pick the card up and continue along their process of getting in touch with them again, should they need to, getting all the information needed to prepare a quote, and then going into the quoted stage. Again, different areas you can get this from, over the phone. We also have an online journey where quotes are presented to the client live, and our agent is able to pick those up as well so they can talk through any questions that the client may have. One of the automations that we have when things are marked lost, like I said, it closes it out. Once it's marked won, we have that card move over to our bind policy stage of this same pipeline, which then just defines that the card is complete, everything is done as far as the sales perspective. So what happens from there is the deal card is then copied over to our client management team. And then on the next slide, you'll see our client management team. Again, the card is copied over to them. They work through their process of uploading any documents that need to be presented for the client. And if there's anything missing or they need to make follow-up, they can reach out to the client directly. They can reach out to our sales agent that sold the policy to get any clarification. And then from there is sort of the perfect ending of a smooth transition from outbound to sales team and then our client management team. So with all this, we had different areas where we had different workflows. So being able to manage all those out and put set requirements for those was really important, right? We have specific asks coming from the CMT, client management, specific asks coming from our sales team, from our reporting team, from partnerships, and then our outbound team. Those were kind of the very critical things that we were looking at. So on the next slide, what you'll see here is just some process examples that I just wanted to share. Within these automations, I know I talked about those briefly, but we have those set up, from an operations standpoint. So this was very crucial, and we just got through a good training session with our agents to help them not only understand their workflow, but understand how their work impacts our marketing campaign. So I felt that was very valuable for our sales agents to know, just so they can identify, oh, if I move this card to quoted, X, Y, Z is going to happen. These emails are going to go out. So we have emails sent out at a specific time. We have text messages going out, and all that is saving time for the agent to have to, draft those emails and send those out. And what's great about all these automations, we're able to make quick adjustments, right, on the fly. Should something need, a slight adjustment. We're a startup working with a startup platform, so it's we're very agile and trying to fulfill the needs of the business. So on the next slide, again, we'll go into just the more managing side of things. So as my topic is, managing teams, managing different departments, understanding their requirements, laying those all out, being honest, being truthful of what we need and what our plan of attack is. Like, is there a solution for it now? Is there a solution, a couple months from now or down the road next quarter, whatever the case may be? It's important to document those needs among the different areas. We use a smart sheet, which is very helpful to have to identify priority, identify timelines, and thankfully, the InsuredMine team has jumped on board with us on this smart sheet trend to help us stay on track of what we're looking to accomplish as we look to continuously improve. We found that it's very helpful as well to bring the business into our world of implementing, understanding deadlines, again, going back to being open and honest. So that's been super helpful as well. Biggest thing I want to harp on is the emotional intelligence part. Thankfully, I've had great leaders to express the importance of emotional intelligence. So being flexible, being available, and accountable for the implementation. Now, there's a lot of things going on outside the scenes. I'm sure we all know from being in different areas of the business that things are going on that we may have exposure to, right? Operations has to continue moving that ship forward, getting, sales, making sure our lines of business are up on the up and up. At the same time, we're taking time away from that to, bring them in, help us write our requirements, help them understand this new platform that their team is going to use. And so the point is just having some grace with that and making sure that you understand that, what can you do to help them fulfill what you need so that you can have the smoothest implementation possible. Again, communicate, internally and externally. The more, the better. And I think it's very vital to understand how people accept communication and how they like to receive communication. Do they like to receive it on a daily basis, once a week? Do they prefer chat? Do they prefer, getting on a quick meeting to understand? So understanding the personality that you're dealing with, and how they receive communication, and what's the most effective way you can adjust and adapt to what that person needs or that group needs so that they can better understand. And then lastly, being confident and honest. There are times when you get multiple questions from different areas of the business and you're looking to just keep things in order. Being organized leads to being more confident. We've had several training sessions with Kiara and Sneha during phone calls where, they would help us understand different functionality of InsuredMine. And then, like I said before, just being honest with what the system is able to do now. Is it not able to fulfill requirement number 5? Okay, so what's the plan that we need to do to get there? So those are sort of the 5 things that I always reminded myself. Now, there were tough days, obviously. There are always going to be tough days. I don't like to call them bad days, but every day is a good one. But again, there are going to be tougher ones where, it's nice to sit back, reflect, and again, have grace and be flexible with any sort of ask or task that you're presented with. All right, we can go to the next slide, please, Monser. All right, so a few of our successes, that I wanted to point out. Being involved in the operations since we went live, I'm more active in their chats and their meetings. So I get feedback very quickly from them. And one of the biggest things is them being able to check, their sales and see how they're performing from the day we went live and on a monthly basis. So it's very transparent, which is, to me, a huge thing, not only for the leadership team looking things like as bigger picture, but when you get down in the weeds with the team, on demand, you're able to see how John is doing and how, Michelle is doing, how Allison's doing. You're able to see all those things just at a click of a button, just by going to the dashboard. So leading into that, the consistent communication, deal cards are there. They're accessible. We know where they're at. We know how long they've been sitting there. We're able to identify leads that have been sitting for a while and sort of, okay, we need to start making decisions on these. And going into our automated process and forms, we've been using a lot in InsuredMine with partners. So this happens when the demographics of a lead are filled in within a form automatically through a partner. It gets funneled to InsuredMine in that form, and it creates the lead in InsuredMine. So that's been a great win where we've been able to find success. And then going into other requirements that need a little bit more work, thankfully, InsuredMine has been able to provide some custom work, for a cost to help us, get to a goal or fulfill a specific SLA or a specific requirement for the team. We also have some integration with our team. So marketing emails and campaigns is sort of the latest thing that we've been improving on. And pardon my dog that's barking. Somebody rang the doorbell, so I apologize about that. But we have some integration with our team. So that's the next thing that we're just really looking at from a high, getting in there as we've sort of established our foundation with the sales team and, those different areas of that. We're now looking at our marketing team and being able to send out that communication along the workflow of the sales rep has been great. We can go to the next slide, please, Montserrat. Okay, so with that, I just wanted to, again, just take a quick moment to thank InsuredMine for, for the time and all the hours of work that have been put in with this with this implementation, the biggest thing that I really appreciate is the consistent meetings we have on a weekly basis to help us, manage our teams, from our position. So it's been, a pleasure to work with, a pleasure to learn as well. It took a collection of effort from every area of our business as well as with InsuredMine to bring this launch to SimplyIOA. Like I said before, there were tougher days, but we see those as lessons learned as we continue to improve and sort of challenge, what we're used to doing, and even challenge what InsuredMine can do and how we can improve the platform to help not only us, but just, businesses everywhere. So like with anything, there will be good and tougher days, but just, again, understanding the requirements from each department and laying those out. And keeping that open communication amongst the team and being honest with what's the plan of action, when do we look for that, what's the ETA on that specific ask, was vital to show how we can build and have that buy-in for the agents and the whole company to have more confidence in the platform. So again, thank you to everybody for the time. Thank you, Rashawn. Thank you, Montserrat, for putting this all together. And Tucker has been great as well. Kiara, everybody on that team, everybody helping us with our APIs, with our different asks, to sort of challenge, where we're standing today has been great. And so,
Good.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much.
Well, don't go anywhere, because I'm gonna have some questions for you after Jennifer as well, for both of you. So that was really informative, and we got to see some of the processes. And I think one thing that you highlighted was make sure that all stakeholders have input into the changes that you're making.
Right.
So you have to have buy-in from everybody. And I know, Jennifer, your agency, you guys implemented a major change too. The video you guys did for us, testimonial was awesome. And I think it speaks to an experience that a lot of agencies have gone through or are currently going through. So I'll let you do a little introduction on yourself as well, and just jump right into it. And I've got some questions for both of you after you finish.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Jennifer Powell. I am the operations analyst here at Deeley Insurance Group, and we're located in Willard, Maryland. If you attended IMUG last year, I did speak. I'm not going to go as in-depth this year, so this is more high level. But the team asked me to speak, so I'm glad to be back with you guys. You can go ahead and click to the next slide, and I'll tell you a little bit about Deeley. So like I said, we're located in Willard, Maryland. We're about 10 minutes from the Ocean City beaches. We sell business and personal insurance, with our average customer being concentrated in community associations, contractors, hospitality, human services, and transportation. And we have between 50 and 60 employees. You can go ahead to the next. So back when we were searching for InsuredMine or searching for a CRM tool, we listed some pain points where our team compiled from different areas in the business. Our main item that we were looking for was for a sales tool. It ended up being much more, which I'll talk more about. But our major pain points were pipeline management, sales production, data and analytics reporting, communication. Having an automated platform is really nice. And then integration. Integration is a huge piece for our puzzle. We currently work with AMS 360, and prior to InsuredMine, we used Vertiforce Sales Track for our sales tool. Go to the next slide. All right, so I'm going to go into a little bit about how Deeley adopted IM. So we ended up building a connection with InsuredMine through the Orange Partner Program. We are very connected with Vertiforce. We are doers, innovators. We are part of early adopter programs with many of their platforms. So we like to push outside the box. So when we met the InsuredMine team, Tucker, Roshan, Sneha, they were all about what we brought to the table. So it was a really unique relationship from the start. So some steps we took. Initially, we, like I said, internally compiled a list of pain points and needs. for our CRM tool. Then we had multiple kickoff calls to learn about the InsuredMine system. This is where we met with the team. Like I said, we reviewed how and if InsuredMine could be a fix to these pain points. And then our leadership team got together, compiled questions, and then we had follow-up calls with InsuredMine regarding these questions and how the system would help fix what we needed. Then we, of course, adopted the product. It did fit and check the boxes for us. And then we started the build of our first focus. So this is an important piece of the puzzle for us. A lot of people, when they try to adopt a new system, they want to go all in with every piece of their agency. We did not go that route. We started with our first focus, which is what we were initially looking for, a sales tool for our commercial lines team. Personal lines was doing the new business in AMS 360 already, and it wasn't broken, so it didn't necessarily need to be fixed. So we started with CL New Business, and then we launched internally to a small portion of our team. So our sales team is about 7 to 8 people, and then we launched it to all of our leaders as well. Go ahead to the next. And then an ongoing step is we're constantly reviewing the value of the product. So weekly, we are constantly checking if it's working. Is there something we can do better? We're looking at our numbers across the board. Go to the next slide. Okay, so these are some key things to consider when you start using InsuredMine. So we implemented, just to give you a little backstory, we started talking with InsuredMine in November of 2021. And we had it implemented by January 1 of this year for our sales team. So it was a very short implementation process, which speaks volumes of the system and what its capabilities are, and giving the admin the ability to really do the work yourself. That is so key in an agency where we needed to turn around a new system really quickly before our 2022 goals started. So just some steps. What we did first, we reviewed our current processes on what is important to us. We didn't look into the workflow and the why and the steps, just the key data points and the visuals we wanted to see as a leadership team. So that was the first thing we did. Second thing we did was make a list of the pain points. Then we learned what InsuredMine provided as a tool. So this is where we went to the team, learned about the system. Like I said, we probably had 5 to 10 phone calls, just going back and forth, trying to answer questions that we had and talking about the capability. And then we started to rethink our current processes. So as Michael spoke, like you can really kind of go overboard, like in a way, like it can get complicated really quick with a tool so powerful. So you really need to, so we reviewed our current processes because the prior tool we were using, it was overcomplicated. It took longer to do a process than it needed just to get data points that we thought we needed. We didn't need those at all once we started to review it, and it definitely wasn't the most efficient way that we were having our sales team work. So we reviewed and did that. And then we talked to our employees. We learned what their most time-consuming tasks were. This is important to us, and to ask the why. You know, what are you doing? Why do you think you're doing it? Is it important in the big picture? So we really took the time to really dive deep into our team's thoughts on what they were doing, because we really don't want people to just go through the motions and do the steps. We want them to understand the why and really the value in what they're doing. And then we looked at our data. So one of the biggest things when you have multiple systems that are plugging into one another and the integration isn't fully there, you have data that is really dirty. Ours was. We took a very long time to clean up our data, and we're still doing it to this day. So InsuredMine has really helped us clean up our data in multiple ways. But that was one thing we wanted to look at, because if the data's not clean, your analytics that come back aren't going to be clean either. So that was something we looked at. And then integration. This was a huge piece to us. We needed a tool that was integrated with our management system. So InsuredMine definitely checked that box and had more integration than we anticipated it having. So that was a really big point that we took into consideration before we started using it. Okay, you can go to the next slide. All right, so a few practices. Obviously, when you're bringing on a new tool, it can be overwhelming to everyone involved, especially the people that are changing the way they operate on a daily basis. So we decided, like I said, to focus on one big ticket item at a time. So January 2022, we launched our CL new business. You can go ahead and click on that. We launched our CL new business first. And then by March, we launched our PL new business. So that once we had the CL built, which is a lot more complicated, we went into the PL world, and then we started to focus on renewal workflows. So as of right now, focusing on one big item at a time, we were able between January and August to get our entire agency into InsuredMine with workflow management, starting with CL new business, PL new business, and August 1st, we brought in our complete commercial lines renewal team. And then what we did at first, and we still have the option to do, is to have small group training sessions. So we all know that if you sit in a big Zoom class and or even an in-person training, you don't get as much out of it. And in our world, our teams work a little differently just because of the niches that they focus on. So we decided to have small group training sessions. We started with weekly, and then we went to bi-weekly, and then we did monthly until we no longer needed them. So this was really helpful, where we had about 5 to 6 people in each small group training, and we took 30 to 45 minutes and had them bring their questions to the table. We answered the questions while screen sharing, and it was nice for them to have insight, but also just to be able to have that focus. That it's almost like a one-on-one when you have such a small group setting. You can click again. All right, and then what we wanted to do, we set a goal. We want to use this system to its max potential, right? It is loaded with tools. We're about, I'd say, 75% using it to its capacity, and we're not even a year in yet, but it's taken baby steps to get there. So there's a lot of things. I'm the type of person, I see that left sidebar and I see all the tools that are available for me to use, but I know we're not ready to use them yet. So baby steps, prioritize, pick the pieces that you want to work on first and what's most important to your agency. And I know Michael touched on this as well, but never be afraid to tweak your processes. InsuredMine allows the admins the freedom to make changes. We have made changes tremendously as we've worked through it. We set something, think it works, but we don't sit in the seat of the person doing it. So our employees have the ability to come to us and say, this doesn't really make sense, or it's not in the right order, or can we change this? And we always value that input, and we make changes. We don't make changes too many at once, because you don't want to break your whole workflow. But we really do like the ability to be able to make the changes on the fly when we want to. But don't be afraid of that. A lot of people are afraid to make changes, and then they get stuck in a rut and they can't get out of that. So always be mindful and open to doing that. And then ask questions and use the resources that InsuredMine provides. The InsuredMine support team, if any of them are on this call, They hear from me probably 6 to 7 times a week, no joke, if not sometimes more than that. Like I said, we think outside the box. We find things that, don't just help our agency, but we want to help other agencies as well. A lot of the what's new and release notes and all of that, that's stuff that we've requested because we really want this system to do what it's capable of. And I ask questions all the time. Does this make sense? Or, should this be this way? Can we have somebody help us work through this? The InsuredMine team is awesome. They have the abundance of resources to help through anything that you have questions for. Don't sit stuck. Don't sit there and wait and just wonder if you're doing something right. Ask the questions and just really work through it until you get it like you want it. Okay. And then Montserrat, you put this, so I'm just going to go through a little recap of the iMug 1, just to kind of give you just a quick overview of how Deeley was using it then and what our goals were and how, then we were using it. We've come a long, long way since we first started. So you can go to the next step. Next. Okay, so our process goals, just a few of them. You can keep clicking. But originally our process goals, we wanted to manage our pipeline, sales and leaders, keep the data clean and up to date, and see what's in pipeline by user and overall. We can check that box. We have, this system gives us the ability to see every single user across our agency in one platform, and that is crucial for our leaders. Goal and production management. We can see it annually, monthly, by salesperson, agency-wide, by department, by labels. We use labels a ton. Dashboards. Dashboards were something we were missing, and we have, I use those regularly. The one deals by agent, that's my favorite one. It gives you a ton of information each month. And then, of course, we can get our reporting. The reports are nice where you can get your expiration list. We don't have to pull them separately. We can see our client value by, line of business, anything we want. Carriers, that's huge for us. We can go to the carrier dashboard, our deals by carrier dashboard, and we can see items that we've booked in any time period, items that we've quoted and not necessarily won, we've lost it or it's open, and we know what we can bring to the table at a carrier meeting, and that is crucial. So that's the reporting's been great. You can go ahead to the next slide. Oh, book of business is there too. That's a nice one. Okay, communication. So obviously having a platform where you can email out of, you can text. We sent our first engagement, so we sent a bulk item out. So we're out of constant contact totally now, which was, again, another pain point we had. We had a system where we were having to manually upload email addresses, and if they got updated in our management system, they weren't necessarily updated in constant contact. So having that integration is really nice there. We have the most up-to-date current information. Intake forms, we use that in our personal lines world. We use our tasks, which flow, with AMS. And then automation, like I said, the automation is really helpful. We use a lot of automation in our labels. We have some templates built. We can automate pretty much anything we want, which again is really important when you're trying to help your workflows and your people be most efficient. Okay. And then these are our pipeline uses. So we have multiple pipelines. So we use our defining the customer journey. We have a CL, we do lead management. So we have our CL and personal lines pipeline. And then we have new business marketing. So we start as the lead with the salespeople. We use the automation to copy the card when it's won. It goes into our marketing, so our marketing can market with carriers. And then we have our renewal workflow, which also has multiple pipelines that they use in their world, where we do the same thing. We send it to a binding pipeline after we work through the process. And then we just started recently working on our claims pipeline. So we're hoping that we can get that working and help manage those items in InsuredMine as well. Right, and then this is kind of just the successes, which Montserrat checked off as well. But these were, some pain points. And after IMUG 1 and now in IMUG 2, we are using the system, like I said, around 75%, and we have a lot more we want to do. So we're going to get there. And we, again, thank you for, letting me speak again at this conference. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I know I talked with quite a few of you after the first conference. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Michael. Well, Montserrat's going to put up a poll. If you want to go ahead and get that part started, Montserrat, so that we can quickly move on to the next section. But I have a couple questions, just really quick. Michael, how has InsuredMine helped SimplyIOA keep better track of the agent's production?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have pipelines, right, and different stages within those. So our leaders are able to track and see how they are progressing through each lead individually. How long a lead is staying in quoted, how long, because we have a quoted stage, how long those leads are sitting there. Do we need to follow up? Okay, if we're having a buildup in that specific stage, do we need to incorporate more follow-up automations like within email or things like that? So it's been very helpful to have again, just like a live view, just right there in front of you for our leaders to look at and for them to be just more aware of what's going on at the drop of a hat, rather than having to wait, next day for a report to come out. So that's been super, super helpful for the group.
Okay, and well, similar question for you, Jennifer. Actually, I was more interested in the 75% adoption, and you're speaking about 75% of the functionality that you guys are taking advantage of, or 75% of the organization using it?
Oh, yeah, of the functionality. But we have, I'd say, as for our users internally, we're around 90%. We have everybody, but our claims team is not in there, and our PL renewal team is not in there yet. So yeah, we're about 90% of our users in the agency using it. And
I mean, that says a lot when we're looking at your presentation and all of the things that you guys have done, and you're saying there's still even more that we are able to do.
Yeah, we have, so one of our, it goes back to the data. So one of our ways to communicate was, that's one of our things we're still working through. We're actually able to use InsuredMine. So we're trying to segment and by niches, so we can send newsletters and do those campaigns when we want. So what we actually did was use InsuredMine, and we used the NAICS code field that flowed from AMS. If it wasn't there, we updated it, we synced it over, and we used the NAICS code to add tags. So we went in, multi-selected by code, added tags, so we have almost every contact that is active in our system, except brand new ones. That part of their workflow is to tag the contact when they add someone new, and renewals, check it. We have all of our contacts on active client tagged, so we can send to them down to the point where you have contractors. We can do an electrician, a plumber. So we really took the time to get our data clean, which is why we haven't used that piece as well as we want to.
And that's so important because, crap in equals crap out. And you're automating some of these tasks and increasing the engagement. But if your data is not accurate, I hate to say it, you put yourself open to an exposure because you don't have correct data and you're sending all this stuff out to these folks, but this one person may not get, a renewal notice or a reminder from you that they expected, because they were used to that and everybody else got it. So having your data scrubbed, making sure that you're taking your time and putting, making sure that everything you have in there is is accurate and so you can have that consistency through all of your, integrated partners. Another question. What are three, well, let's go back. Let's look at the processes. And this is for both of you. What would you say an agency should consider now that both of your agencies have worked on the workflows and have started to implement? I know you guys have been using InsuredMine since, I believe, January, right, Michael?
We started in June.
June. I don't know why I said January. It was a J. Well, you guys have done quite a bit since then. It was June. Tucker reminded me of that. So what would you say an agency should consider first when they're creating that process to help the entire team?
I think it's important to include those people that are going to be actively working on it on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we had sessions with, some managers of the different teams to sort of test it and see what we initially built with their help. So going into them and actually spending time in a real scenario and sort of creating or recreating what we want it to look like and see if it makes sense. Like, is this going to be an opportunity for our team to succeed rather than just like slow them down, right? Like, obviously in the initial period, like, it's going to take some adjustment and we understand that, but we want to make sure that our managers and our leaders are even more comfortable than obviously our agents working on it so that they can provide assistance. And with that, whenever the initial go live, I think it's critical to be, like I said, be available and be with them, like in the trenches, like be on because there were questions coming at us, like as they should, which is great. We want questions to come. But it was myself and my supervisor and, the training team as well, who, got multiple trainings from InsuredMine to, hey, we're here and we're here to help you get confident with the system. So that was really huge for us as well.
What about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, so I think I totally agree with that because as in operations, you don't sit in that seat. So, what might make sense in your world, thinking efficient, might not make sense in their world. So it's definitely an important piece of it. But, one of our biggest, not necessarily an issue, but like I said, it's easy to overcomplicate. So I think, think simple. First and foremost, think simple about what you're creating and how it affects the overall big picture of everything. One, I would say, think about how the tool fits in your whole system circle. So like I actually have a life cycle of our systems from start to finish. It starts with InsuredMine and it goes full circle. So think about how it fits into that puzzle of your other systems. And because, you want to be careful not to have the person do the same thing in two different systems. So it's just weigh out what you have, figure out what you're using each tool for. And like I said, InsuredMine, we originally brought on as sales, and it's now in every single department in our agency. So you got to just think simple, be patient through the process, which is hard sometimes because you want it to work. It takes time. It takes time to really progress through it and make it work for your team.
Great. Yeah, that's really, both of you, really valuable information. I mean, and it's especially when you look at all the pieces that are available to have an impact inside the agency, you don't want to rush through it. You really do need to figure out what's going to have the biggest impact in the very beginning and work backwards and keep it simple, just like you said. Yeah.